Button again. Hello and welcome to Tangents. Let's try this again. This is working now. The only show on the internet and we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Ah! Oh my god, it's been a hell of a 2 weeks. As you can see, I am no longer my usual spot because my usual spot is now in pieces, parts strewn across the studio in some kind of mad orgiastic bliss of synthesizers and a whole shit ton of cables. It's a fucking nightmare. Anyway, I'm Andrew. I'm from beautiful sunny Cleveland, Ohio. Welcome to the show, all two people that are currently watching. We decided to bring one of our people that are regular in our chat into the show, so therefore we don't have anyone in chat. I'm smart. Anyway, with me tonight is always Justin. How are you, my friend? Ooh, hitting the cold waves. Is there some, like, who's playing at that? Isn't that like, okay. Okay, so just front 242 is all that matters. Good. Cool. Mm-hmm. Oh. Oh, shit, son. Ooh. Good. Good. Well, I hope that they get it up and running for you so you can noodle about in Juno 106 land and fulfill your dreams. It's the last synth you need, right? You don't need anything else now. You've got everything, right? Yep. And your lamp. And your, yeah. Yep. And... Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It sounded like a good idea at the time. Right. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I played 106 for Chloe Galvanic back in the day. I was her live keyboard player for a bit. It's a fun piece of gear, even though it says Roland on it. I don't mind it too much. Yeah, no kidding. Mm-hmm. And a lamp. Fair. Also, Christoph is with me. You look all dressed up tonight. Did you get all dressed up for us? Ooh, board meeting. Wise words. As a person who Ooh. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Hmm. Interesting. Maybe he suddenly said, fuck you all. Mm. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it was earlier this year. Right. Apparently, no one can hear anybody but me. I mean, I'm seeing everybody's levels going. Yeah, it's everybody else that is not coming through. Probably. That's really weird because everybody is showing us coming through on here. No, all the audio channels are coming in. I'm seeing them all right now in the audio mixer. Yeah. I think so. Let's see. Hmm. I know, right? I even went back to. Right? Thank you. That's helping. this shit. Everyone is set to monitor off.
Wow. That was very self-deprecating, Jeff, but
Alright, I'm gonna turn on a bunch of these fucking things.
oh my god. Wait, so did you stop following the railroad and go to mime school, Christoph? Is that
Oh, Justin,
there's different ways you can go creepy. So I didn't have enough money to get no windows.
All right, can we hear everybody now? Justin, she can hear Justin.
I might be tuning me out anyway.
That's true. I kind of I can't hear your tone of voice anymore myself. So
I don't know. Am I coming through? Do I work?
testing.
Shame if I do, but
Testing.
Echo of Christoph.
I could just watch Christoph all night.
Echo of Christoph is the name of this mime act.
Echo of Christoph is the name of my new band.
Tangents now brought to you in American Sign Language.
Right.
Wow. I kind of felt like he was dancing to the Macarena. I don't know why.
Okay, Jeff is good. Justin, can we hear Justin? And can we hear Tony?
Testing, 1, 2.
Echo.
Everybody hear Jasper down here?
Question is, it's not a question of can they hear me, it's do they want to hear me.
Right. Tony is good. We hear
Hey,
Justin.
kinda
Okay, so we can only hear an echo of Christoph. I'm not sure what's up with that. Everyone has the same channel setup now. So
Is there like an ottoman there, Jeff? Like, why is your kitty always right there?
So what that is I have a bunch of, they're like, I don't know, like those Rubbermaid boxes
Oh yeah.
stacked on top. There's 6 of them down there. They're full of cables.
Yeah, I have them too. Yep.
Yeah, and so I just have an old tablecloth that I've thrown over the top of them, and the cat likes to sleep on them.
Hey.
Toto Robin, can you hear me now?
thank you everybody for.
So if I'm delayed, I'll also do signs while I'm talking. So 1, 2, 2, 3, 5.
All right, so still a delay, so that's better than nothing. We'll go with that.
I'll just talk like this. It'll line up.
That works. I like that. All right, so anyway, welcome to Tangents, where we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Told you. I love that people. That's true. The only thing that you can fucking watch. As a matter of fact, next Tangents will be on all the TV stations, so you'll only be able to watch us from now on.
Yeah.
As we still have no idea how video works and how audio works, but we're a show about audio, so.
No, we're a show about synthesizers.
That's true.
Number one show on the internet. Just ask Pravda.
I don't think this internet thing's going to catch on. I'm just going to go back to my BBS.
That sounds good.
That's a fad.
So, folks that missed it, Justin got a Juno 106. Christoph has DJ'd an event for Cold Waves last week and is going to in Front 242. We talked about them a little bit. That's what's going on in their lives. Jeff, what's new with you? All right, cool. Tony, how are you, sir?
Better than Jeff, apparently. I'm good.
Good. I had Tony come on tonight because, the biggest reason is because Robin is sick, and we hope Robin gets better soon. Thanks for helping out with the audio issues, Robin. We appreciate it. We miss you. We love you. We hope you're feeling better, because we said so. Feel better. Are you feeling better yet? Feel better.
Well soon, Robin.
but also because Tony is a good old friend of mine, and I have a lot of respect for him. So I put him on the show so he can lose any respect for me that he might have had in the past. Not much. Tony is a electronic musician, producer, record label executive. Can we call you that?
Former record label.
Former record label executive. All around good guy and utter complete synth nerd, and may be slightly more opinionated about synthesizers than I am.
Yeah, I have opinions. You don't have to agree with me. You have a right to be wrong.
Exactly. And so he joins the curmudgeons here tonight at Tangents as we talk about all kinds of fun things, including what's not on our show notes for this, and that is our discussion about NobCon. So at least 3 people that are on the screen was at NobCon 2 weeks ago. The other 2 were losers and didn't go. Mm-hmm. So what's new with me? Well, I went to NobCon 2 weeks ago, and then last weekend I went to Toronto to go see New Order and the Pet Shop Boys, and that was a fantastic concert. The Pet Shop Boys killed it. The New Order sounds like they need practice.
That's kind of their shtick, though.
Yeah, I guess it is, isn't it? So yeah, it was an interesting combination. It was a fun show. Toronto is a wonderful town. If you haven't been there, I always recommend taking a visit up to Toronto. It's quite fantastic, and I ate a penis. So actually, I ate a penis and a half.
It looked
anyway
nicely frosted.
It was a nicely frosted penis waffle, and the name of the store was Members Only. And one thing I didn't know, like I knew that Canada marijuana is freely legal throughout the country, but apparently shrooms are as well, which I didn't know until I came across a shroom store, and I'm like, oh, how interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like between that and the healthcare, why have we been making fun of them all these years?
I don't know, because Brian Adams.
Exactly why. A boot.
Eh?
Yeah, it's either that or the loonies.
Yeah, I could deal with the loonies. It's the toonies.
The
toonies.
You know, Canadian beer is stronger.
Yeah, but the whiskey's terrible.
The loonies. It's the same reason I like the British pound coins. It's like you feel like you're playing Dungeons and Dragons when you go to pay the barkeep.
That's right. You know? But the toonies are cooler because they're 2 different colors. And if you fill a sock with those, it'll hurt you more than a sock full of loonies. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Toronto is kind of like New York City if it was clean.
So it's nothing at all like New York City whatsoever.
Exactly.
Any dimension.
I've been there a few times for work, and it's frighteningly clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's like really, really amazingly clean. And the people, and maybe this was just my impression of when I was there, but everybody there looked healthy and attractive in a way that nobody in American cities.
Oh yeah.
do. I noticed this right away. Everyone just seemed, just in a better place, and I'm like,
I felt that way in Montreal. I think Montreal just has some beautiful people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Toronto
too.
I've
been there too. We've got. I go there for work occasionally too, and.
So yeah, if you like beautiful people, you'll love Toronto.
Or Sweden.
Or Sweden. Or
Cleveland.
Well, everybody.
Or Cleveland.
Yeah. Cleveland. Everyone's beautiful in Cleveland.
Cold just kills the ugly people, I guess.
That's true. It really does. Anyway, so we were at NobCon a few weeks ago, and everyone saw stuff and played with stuff and everything like that. And I just wanted to kind of get Justin and Tony's thoughts about what they thought about NobCon this year. So, Justin, we'll start with you.
Well, I didn't go last year, and obviously the year before was not a thing. So my last experience was 2019. I know you did go last year, Andrew, and it was a little bit thin on the ground, I think, last year. I would say most of my time was spent in the actual trade show floor, right? I felt like there was a ton of vendors there. I thought they were all really cool. I think you brought up a really good point, and I don't want to steal your thunder.
Steal away.
But it was mostly boutique vendors. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a ton of like Roland types there, or Korg even, who had been there in the past. I found that kind of interesting too. But yeah, no, it was very cool. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any personal thing there that I saw that I didn't either already have or know about, and no, I didn't want. But it was fun to check
mm-hmm.
it out. You know, I got to hang out with the Sequential guys, and that was cool. I know, it was a good time. It was good to see people. Yeah. Good to meet some people in person, and yeah.
Yeah, I feel that was kind of like a big thing. Like there hasn't been much, as we know, there hasn't been much new hardware coming out that is, you know, that they really formally announced there. So, but I think that the experience of just hanging out with folks and stuff, which is, you know, the big reason why I've been going, like I went last year, and obviously this year was mostly just to hang out with people and see folks again. So
yeah, it was good to see you, man. It was good to see Sam. It was good to meet Robin. Yeah, it was a good time.
It was a blast. Tony, what'd you think?
Good to meet some of your shrimp folks.
Well, it was really cool. Just it was way more crowded than last year. By a couple orders of magnitude, it was just way more crowded. I actually came back for the second day. I usually just do the Saturday, and I don't come back to the Sunday. I spend most of my time on the floor, kind of diving in until I get to sensory overload, and then get out because it just kind of does a number on my neurodivergent brain. Mm-hmm. But it was really good to see people again, which is an unusual thing for me because I generally don't like people. But there were a lot of cool things that I saw. I did notice that none of the big manufacturers were there, and and some of the floor space dedicated to the new ones that was kind of interesting. Like Malevolent had three or four, or PWM is the company's name. They had 3 or 4 Malevolents there you could play mm-hmm. with, so there was no trouble getting into it. I like going, and I like talking to the designers, particularly because and some of them are just so enthusiastic about their product. It's like talking to an artist, and just getting into their heads about why they made certain choices and different things. Like with the Malevolent particularly, that guy has a very, Paul, I think his name was, has a very, very, very specific vision of what he wanted the Malevolent to be, mm-hmm. to the point where he was talking about arguing with engineers who wanted to clean that thing up and make it so that it wasn't quite so nasty and gnarly, and he just wouldn't let them. He said, no, we want this thing to be the exact opposite of everything a Moog is. We want it to be nasty mm-hmm. and kind of unruly, and when you twist this knob, it kind of loses its shit. And it does. Yeah. That was my impression. I wasn't that interested in the Malevolent before I got to talk to him and play mm-hmm. with it. But I really, really like that little thing. Yeah. It's rude, and that's something that's lacking in a lot of synthesizers. Yeah. They're also tame. I think that's why there's so much gravitation toward the old synths, is because they've aged into this they've become old and cranky like me, and I like I kind of smell my own thing. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Malevolent was, to me, one of the two standout. That and the Iliad were
yes
by Artisan Electronics.
I went back and watched the video of that guy because I had to watch in sort of quiet space what was going on with that thing, and
yeah, the Iliad is just it sounds really good, and the dude's kind of insane. Like, I love that he's like, you want 16 voices? Yeah. I'll put 16 voices in here. You want 32 voices? You want 96 keys? I'll fucking do that. You know, he was kind of like Earl Scheib of synthesizers.
You're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, it was like the Burger King version. Yeah. I mean, it was your way all the way. It was pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought that Iliad that he had there was the most beautiful keyboard I've ever seen. And if I had the money and he would have let me walk away with it, I would just take my money and, here's the keys to my car. I'll take the cents. I'll find a way home.
I do worry about ultra boutique stuff. I've been bitten by things. Like, I used to have a Yocto, for example. The problem is, like, how should I put this? we know when things go wrong.
Yeah.
If that guy has now moved on to making Beanie Baby simulators, I can no longer,
Yeah. In the case of Iliad, I don't see that as being a problem because this guy's been working. If you go look it up, he's been trying to do Kickstarters and that have failed, but he's still pushing on with this Nucleus.
Mm-hmm.
And the Nucleus is basically he uses that board in the Iliad.
Yeah.
So that's the voice board, and then he puts it in. The Iliad is a case for as many of those boards as he can stuff into it. He does seem to have that mad scientist vibe.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't want to go to his house.
I would, mostly because I want to see the bodies.
I don't want to be one of the bodies.
The other concern
You see the bodies before you become one of the bodies, and
that's why we're not brought to you by Artisan Electronics.
That's all I can think of, Andrew, is you saying, "Behold, corn."
Yeah. Although the risk that I think just worry about when you have a company of one, if something happens to that guy, your support is gone. A larger company, the company will keep going on. But when it's one person. Your support might go with that.
That's a thing. I mean, like, I remember, like, I got the Linstrument, and when I emailed a support question, Roger Lynn emails me back, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Dude, you're not a spring chicken.
That's how...
Yep.
That's how sequentially, or Dave Smith Instruments, when he first had the Evolvers out, I got a Polyvolver. I found a bug on it. I wrote their support, and Dave Smith gave me a phone call to try to recreate the issue, and I was like, this is kind of unexpected. But yeah, so that's how those small companies operate. Yeah. Hopefully they grow. If they do their business right, they grow into something beyond.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
the upside is,
but you also got to like the.
I know people that one of the things they're looking for in a synth they're not going to sound like anybody else. You can do that by getting a unique, boutique synth. So there's strengths and negatives to that.
I think DSIs or sequential is a sweet spot because they still have that sort of like homegrown thing. I mean, up until their recent acquisition, but you know what I mean. But they're still
But it's still a very dedicated team.
Yeah.
It's really inspired by Dave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They've kind of lost me, I'll say, since they started just basically, humping the Prophet 5 for all it's worth, and trying to pump out nostalgia instrument after nostalgia instrument. I haven't been very, very happy with them, and I've got a Pro 2, and I go against a lot of people's opinions. I don't think the Pro 3 was much of an upgrade to that. So
I think it's a very different animal, actually. But yeah, I hear what you're.
Yeah. I noticed there's a change in design aesthetic. There's a change in the way the instruments feel and sound, and it doesn't speak to me like my Pro 2 does. I'm not getting rid of that thing.
Hey, does the Pro 2 have the filter that you can sweep from low pass to high pass like an Oberheim?
Yeah, it's a masterpiece.
Does it? No, I know the Pro 3 has that. Does the Pro 2 have that?
No, the Pro 2 doesn't. The Pro 3 doesn't have that, does it?
Yeah.
I thought when I was playing with it, you could only switch the different filters.
No, it's continuous.
I played with it at Perfect Circuit.
The Pro 2 does.
That's what blew me away about it because it reminded me of the filter on the Oberheim MX.
Yeah.
The Pro 2 has two filters. It's one of my favorite filter architectures I've ever seen. You have two filters that are parallel or series and everything in between. One of them is a ladder filter design, and the other one is the state variable design, but it's sweepable from low pass to high pass with band and notch modes.
So Pro 3, they just added the Prophet 6 filter into that. I mean, that's the only difference.
Yeah, and then it's you've got the they cut a lot of the modulation down, and I'm a modulation whore. So when you drop an envelope and drop LFOs and they dropped an oscillator, I was like, why did you do that? But I actually used all the stuff on my Pro 2.
Yeah, I don't think from a modulation standpoint that the Pro 3 is even close to the Pro 2. I mean, I'll give you that. I mean, that and just what you can do with the wave shape stuff is pretty, because it's digital. It's pretty badass. I think they made weird decisions with the Pro 3, like putting the sequencer on. I feel like they did weird things with the real estate that I would have made different decisions.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I'm just I love my Pro 2.
I hear you.
Thank you for the raid, Actitect, and thank you for following Phenomenonacadis. Appreciate it. I think I pronounced that name right. Looks like it. That's what I said.
So Tony, what did you think about the Prophet 12, if you don't mind me asking? Because that was kind of an interesting animal.
I really liked the Prophet 12, and if it had the dual filter, because they dropped that. They didn't have the analog filter on there, and they dropped the sequencer. And I'm like, the sequencer is, it wasn't 12 Pro 2s in a box, which I can understand why that would get so, it was expensive enough without doing that. Sure. But that's why I liked it, but I never got into it. I never got one. I just figured I got my Pro 2, and the way I operate is I treat my Pro 2 more or less as a modular synthesizer I can save. It's got the CV in and out. You can do some interesting things if you loop CV back into it and things like that you can't do on the on the Prophet 12. I mean, and it's good, but it just didn't jazz me the way the Pro 2 does.
The Pro 2's paraphonic too, isn't it? I think. Yes.
It reminds me, because what the Pro 2 really is interesting, because it's more of a follow up to the it's like a follow up to the Evolver, because it's got those same kind of feedback, and it's like they fixed the things with the Evolver that weren't quite right, because there were a lot of it was the Evolvers and my Poly Evolvers like this. The sweet spot in that instrument is like an inverted bell curve. It only sounds good when you're going to the extremes. When you try to do some bread and butter type bass sound or something like that, you can't do it really well on an Evolver. It's got to be, if it's not doing crazy shit, it's not working. The Pro 2 is different. It's like they tuned it to be wider. So you can get those type sounds if you want them. You can get very good like basses and leads out of it that are just the standard stuff. But if you want to go into that crazy sci-fi territory, it's all right there. You can just hit the gate button and it drones. It'll drone like a modular synth, and then you can just tweak knobs forever and intermodulate things. And just be recording while you're doing it, because you won't remember what you did and you won't get back to it.
Wow. So there you go. So that was your favorite thing at KnobCon. Just kidding.
Come on, it's tangent.
I know.
We got it.
Let me have my fun.
That was quite a tangent. It's a good one.
Fuck you all. Love you. So I did buy the Nymphis. And the knob is really loose on it. And luckily, Synth City is going to send me a new one, which is cool of them.
I thought that was pronounced.
That's good.
Nymphis.
I'm going to start a new personal policy. If I can't pronounce the name, I'm not buying it.
The nice thing is,
I got one.
This thing is actually, I would say, on the RPG attack scale, this thing gives you about a +1 attack, because this thing is actually pretty fucking heavy, but it's small enough where you can fit it in one hand while you're beating on your enemies with it. So
it's way smaller than I thought it would be. It's actually almost exactly the same size as the Moog Mavis.
Yeah. It's
like it.
Yeah, or the No Coast.
Okay.
So it's sitting right next to my No Coast, and they're about the same size.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I really dig it. Tony, I know it's kind of frustrating you right now, but I'm really liking it so far.
Yeah. I got one, and the first of all, the menu system for how you access, it's like they had two competing ideas for how they wanted the menu system to work, and they decided, fuck it. In some places we'll use this system, in some places we'll use that, depending on the parameter, and we're not going to document it all well. And then we're going to add some shift functions on top of that. But no way in hell are we going to add another knob to this thing or any kind of display.
Yeah.
I can't learn. It makes an Octatrack look easy to learn.
I don't know. I caught on to it pretty quickly. I think the only thing that irritated me is that in the quick start guide, it doesn't tell you anything about the tuning button, because it's an analog synth.
Yeah,
that's irritating. That was the biggest irritation.
Out of the box.
You know.
Yeah. The other thing that's frustrating me on mine is it's and it might be a defect. I don't know. But I created a sound. I went to record it, and that was the first time I listened to it soloed, not in the context of the track. And I can hear this digital like hash, this little bit of distortion in there. No matter what the volume is, no matter what I do with the oscillators, there's this something in there that I'm hearing, and it's driving me up a wall because I can't figure out what's causing it or eliminate it.
I'll try it.
It's not that bad. In the mix, you won't hear it probably, but the fact that it's there nags me. And I've got a cheap little, half the price Roland Boutique JX08 sitting next to it that doesn't do any of that. Has 20 voices of polyphony, and it doesn't do any of that. It's not even really analog. I don't know.
Maybe it's the USB power.
It could be. I did have a problem. I had to change what plugs it was in because it was causing ground loops, noise loops with other devices I had.
Yes, we have had the ground loop rant many times on the show.
Yeah, USB power seems like a great idea, but it's terrible.
Yeah, it's the worst idea
USB everything, not even once.
Fuck you, SB.
That's right.
Anyway, let's get on to the news, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right,
Can we
cool.
start with murder?
Yeah, let's start with murder. I like that. So, are you manning the murder buttons there, Jeff?
Bam.
All right, thanks, Joe. All right, so our first piece of news is Native Instruments, in their utmost wisdom, decided that nobody needs Absinthe anymore and decided that they're no longer going to be putting it out. So, rest in peace, Absinthe, you old machine, you. So, Absinthe was, God, this is probably one of the very early soft synths that I worked with, at least.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah,
It's older than my stepkid.
Yeah, it's older than. Yeah, it's old enough to drink. So,
Yeah,
like they haven't been updating it in a while, really, and so they decided that they weren't going to do anything with it anymore, and they decided to abandon it. So,
Cool.
I mean, I
I
love
think
the
that's
whole
some pressure for them to upgrade everything to new standards, like the new Apple processor support and BST3, and I think they decided it wasn't worth
Yeah.
doing it.
Absinthe, if we're honest, it's got a terrible user interface.
yeah.
It's the user interface on it is absolutely terrible. I mean, I've in those 22 years I've used Absinthe. When I've gotten something good out of it, it's great. But 90% of what I've done with it is crap. Because I just like,
Hit
okay,
the
I'm tired
mutate
of this
button until
stuff.
it works.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tell you. But you don't understand what's going on. It's got terrible user experience. It made some neat sounds, but you couldn't. There was no possibility to dial something in that you actually wanted on the thing. That was the I'm drunk and I'm going to play with a synthesizer. Let's try Absinthe. That's the Absinthe in my opinion. So I'm not mourning its loss. It hadn't seen an update of any kind, and really, how are you going to clean that mess of a UI up and make it accessible? It's not the synth engine it has is not conducive to millennials who want to just click buttons and automatically be gratified by their synthesizer.
Yeah.
It's a real weird interface, and the thing that makes it even more obvious that it's a real weird interface is that they have all of this, like so many of the views of Absinthe actually hide the interface completely and just give you a list of presets. There's no interface at all. It's just like, here is the preset. Like, it literally doesn't even show you a filter cutoff or anything in like half of the views. I don't know.
Yeah. And you can edit the amount in like thousandths. I'm going to fine tune it in the thousandths place of this filter coefficient curve. And
yeah. But it does sound good. I will say that there are some very good sounds in it, but it's time. Absinthe. Bye.
I mean, Absinthe has been like a staple in Hollywood for doing sound effects design. And so those people are going to miss it a lot. And, for me, I don't care if you update a synth. often. I just want it to remain part of the collection.
Well, I will say that, like, as far as like the
I
sound designers and stuff in Hollywood, if you see what gear they're using, they're going to keep Absinthe they probably had the first Absinthe from 21 years ago. So
Yeah, they're still on Absinthe 0.9 beta.
yeah. So they'll have it for another like 25,000 years, honestly.
Well, the trick is all the Mac people, like once they drop support for Intel processors, they're not going to be able to run it anymore.
On new hardware.
New hardware.
On new hardware, so you have to keep that old hardware alive.
One of the benefits.
So, I mean, like for me, I don't want to upgrade Complete now. And this is where I think it's a bad move for Native Instruments, because I would consider upgrading my version of Complete, but if you take stuff away, well, then why would I do that? You're not giving me anything I need. Oh, you got me some more sample libraries. I don't care.
Well,
you took away a synth, so I'm going to keep the old one, so I keep using that synth.
Bring back.
I'm not someone who cares about BST3 or Mac support.
Ultimately, what Native Instruments want is they want people who are going to buy the plugins, but then buy lots of sample libraries, because that's how they make their money. The plugins are just a gateway drug to their sample library thing. I don't use their libraries just because I don't really need 100,000 bass guitar samples or anything like that. I prefer to design sounds, but that's what they want, and they want more avenues for that. And
yeah, Andrew, if we named our shows, I think 100,000 bass guitar samples.
I think so. I think that sounds like something Natalie Merchant would get behind. Turning to the comments here.
Merchant, but anyway.
Yeah, turning to the comments here. Let's see. Bubblegum Nihilist says Absinthe is great for ambient music. I will miss it, and agrees that it does have a terrible user interface.
My dishwasher is great for ambient music.
That's true.
I've used it.
That's true. My washing machine, my cat, if you slow him down enough.
Anything with enough reverb is good for ambient music.
Phenomenon says was talking about the Korg Karma for making ambient music. Yep. Interesting.
Or just a bunch of Paul Stretch. You can put any sound you want into Audacity, Paul Stretch it into oblivion. Then you have ambient.
Ta-da!
You're done.
Easy peasy.
It's like you're giving away all our tricks.
Yep.
So what the other thing they're talking about is the Korg Karma, and so the Korg Karma was special in that it was kind of an auto accompaniment, and the math and the algorithms for that accompaniment were really a step beyond anything that had ever come before. The guy had learned how to program C++, and he programmed all these things and make all these different choices. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for something that's going to help compose with you in hardware, it's 20 years ahead of its time.
Yeah, I had it in my Korg Kronos, which I only just got rid of recently. Karma was interesting. It was interesting. It was kind of like I don't know. It was very good for helping you do complicated things easily. Mm-hmm. But if you wanted to do something simple, it tended to make big arrangements and stuff like that. It always wanted to add stuff. It was kind of hard to tame it sometimes, but I used it a couple times.
So the other question came up in the chat. I've never used M Sound Factory. Is anybody else?
What's that?
M Sound Factory?
Anybody used M Sound Factory for sound design? I haven't.
No.
Now I want to. I'm looking it up now. Sorry.
Hello, Wambra.
I got to meet Wambra last week. He does exist. Or 2 weeks ago.
They do exist.
Yes. Wambra does exist. And, yeah. That was fun. He was a very nice person. He talked in normal words, which I was surprised about. I was really expecting him to talk like he talks on the chat with all this weird bullshit nonsense stuff he does. But yeah, he spoke like a human being. And it was cool.
You sound disappointed.
Just a regular, normal human being eating regular human food.
And breathing human air, and not at all an insect person.
Right. It sounds like an Invader Zim
kind of, pretty much. He kept on asking about my organs.
Yeah.
I'd like one of your regular human alcohol
Yes,
beverages,
please.
Oh yeah, Jackie Daytona. So much pop culture going on right now.
All right, so yeah, rest in peace, Absinthe.
I gotta say, I always wanted to learn how to use it, and I never bothered, and I guess I'm fine. But I still don't like them taking something
Yeah,
away from me.
well, I think that they should, they could replace it with something. Like maybe a human arm.
Yeah, but they're just adding sample libraries. They're not adding anything interesting.
Well, a lot of people like sample libraries, and, that's cool, I guess, if they're into that.
Yeah, but, there's already a trillion of them.
You know what else? You know what they should have replaced it with?
A sample library reading screen like
An OLED screen.
Oh.
You know who got a new OLED?
Yes.
Jeff, in object-oriented programming, you would definitely be the segue function, and I think that Andrew should just instantiate you whenever he needs a segue, because you're really
do what I can.
Smooth. So our friends at Synthstrum have updated the Deluge Groovebox all-in-one, the most perfect instrument ever built. By adding a LED display instead of the cheesy, fun 8-character LCD that was on there. Not only did they do that, but instead of like making it into something like a Mark II device, they are allowing people to send their Deluges back for refit. And they will go through and they will install the new OLED for you. And I think it's like $150 for them to do that. So that's really cool. I think, because I like the Deluge a little bit. And by that, I have possibly an inappropriate relationship with my Deluge. And once it's my turn to send back my Deluge, it might be disgusted.
So do you have to ship it to NZ, Andrew?
Yeah, so they're gonna in the States you ship it back to New Zealand, and then they have this whole system that they're doing right now, because there was a much larger demand for it than they were expecting. So basically, what happens is you put in your deposit of like $50, and then they put your name in the pot, and then like the first grouping, which ends I think in 2 days. They will then pull names basically and say send your Deluge, and then you send it to them, and they'll do the refit, and they wanted to do it like kind of like one at a time in a way, so that way people get their Deluges back quickly.
Nice.
And one thing I will say, like if you order a Deluge directly from New Zealand, it shows up here in like 2 days.
Yeah, it's
Like
wow.
Yeah, it's scary fast how quickly they get these things into your hands. And I'm not sure what the turnaround is yet on the OLEDs. They're not going to start doing it until November. But yeah, you pay shipping for both ways, and then the $150 fee. And it's a pretty involved process for them to do this, because they actually have to replace some of the chips inside of this puppy, and I think as well as the faceplate to put in the OLED. But then you get it back, and you have basically what would amount to a Deluge Mark II. And it's nice because it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do with that little display. So
if they just made it so, like, there's a few things that would make the Deluge UI quality of life so much better that I'm hoping that they do with it. Like there's other issues that I have with it, but I think that there's a lot that they could do. Like you could be able to read what sample you're looking at. You could be able to see some sort of a directory structure on the samples for loading those. You could see the name of the instrument, like the preset that you've made. You could store a preset name, not just have a number for the preset. That would be really useful. You could do like categories of presets as well. And then also, I think in the in both the clip launch and the arrangement modes, you could really benefit from being able to name each segment. So, like have like drums intro and like do things like that, because arranging on the Deluge to make whole songs it's hard.
I used a piece of graph paper and mapped out my songs with that, basically.
Andrew busted out his Dungeon Master skills.
I totally did. I fucking drew out like a fucking Dungeons and Dragons map in order for me to like figure. I think I still have them written down somewhere. But yeah, it's
That drives crazy about using my Deluge, and then trying to get multi-tracks out or even stems just is brutal, because the thing is
nice.
That's very good.
Yeah,
it is
literally I would
impossible
write shit down
on the Deluge if you are doing anything that is complex. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I had stuff that for my RPM album this year, I went back through and I was looking the other day, and the biggest section had 17 concurrent parts in it. Just 17 concurrent parts. Like, I would have exported every song. Like, if I'd have multi-tracked it into a DAW, it would have taken me, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours per song.
Yeah.
And it's like you could I don't know, you could track 9 Inch Nails in the studio faster. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's not easy to do I mean, even MPC, the new version, struggled with that at first. I get it, you know.
Yeah.
One thing, Jeff, I forgot to mention is that Isla had a table at NobCon. I thought of you. And
No, I saw Brad's stuff. I sent him a love note.
what was so cool was that a lot of the folks there they're ostensibly salespeople, right? And so they're sort of trying to chit-chat. What was great about their table was that they were just sitting around playing mostly.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, hey, buddy, hey, yeah.
Can you answer a question? Nah.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm making this fucking awesome beat. Just hold on.
Here, the rolling papers and the drink cozies are over here.
Yeah, but that made me feel good in a weird way, because just like Tony, I don't necessarily want to talk to people, but I also think that means that their shit is obviously so cool that, you know.
I have been really considering, because they got they got another set of the chips in for the 2400, and they weren't expecting them for years, the ones that they just got in, and they are not expecting another set of chips for a really long time, which is.
Are you gonna buy a backup, Jeff? Is that what we're getting at?
I think I might get a second one.
Damn.
It's so good. And then I could have one sitting over here, and that would be a drum machine. Then I could set one over here, and I could make fat beats on it.
You know, maybe it's just because I'm old and I came up on these kind of machines, but I really enjoy working with it, because I feel like all the glitz and glam and bullshit and distractions are just gone, and I can just do what I need to do.
Yes. And it just, like, it makes everything sound fantastic. Everything
True.
sounds good through it. And the aliasing, when you pitch something down, man, it's just so good.
Yeah, I just dumped a bunch of whatever samples that I had in there, and sometimes I resampled them, sometimes I didn't. I just relied it on the, you know, on the whatever.
The bit reduction.
Whatever ADAC is going on naturally. But yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
It sounds fucking awesome.
That thing, so I'm thinking about getting a second one for 2 reasons. So that I can leave, because the setup of it is like an integrated device is like a lot. It's a lot of work to set it up, and then to make it like a standalone device is there's like actually a lot of like settings and stuff, and it's not easy to sort of like just pop it back and forth. But it and the SP404 together, like the pairing of them is killer.
Nice.
So Tony, do you have lust for a SP2400?
I don't. I kind of looked at the demos of it, and I've kind of it never struck me. I just didn't feel like I need it. I've got old samplers laying around when I want that kind of sound, and I've got my MPC. I guess it might be unusual for me to say these words, but I don't really feel like I need another sampling drum machine. I'm kind of shedding some of those at the moment, just kind of sticking with my MPC.
I get it. I have the only drum machine I ever need, so I'm good. Look at that. Now it's arm's length now too. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, some of these things are so good now. I mean, I do love my MPC-1. I still have my old MPCs, but I'm also in that trap. Yeah. I'm like, I don't play with them that much. Mm-hmm. Should I sell them? I mean, some of them I've extensively customized, like both functionally and physically. So I have to, it'll be hard, but I think you're right. It's time to start looking at shedding things you're not using. I know you're doing it.
As we get older.
I love my MPC Live. I have the MPC Live 2 Retro.
Nice.
And first of all, people might think it's ridiculous that I went and got the specially colored one, but something about that matters. I don't know what it is, but I never liked the original Live that was black and picked up fingerprints, and it annoyed me. I don't know. But the Retro, even though it has the stupid speaker in it, which is completely useless, something about it, that instrument, I get along with it really well.
If you miss 1990s PC colors, then the MPC Retro is for you.
I gotta love that. You gotta love that cash register vibe.
Oh yeah,
I know. Actually, the first time I ever saw an MPC 60, I was like, I really like this, and I cannot tell you why.
Yes, there was just something.
Maybe it's medical equipment. Maybe it makes beats. I don't know, but I love it.
Maybe it does both. I am looking over here and admiring my S5000, which also looks like a thing that controls a defibrillator. The way that
Claire.
Oh yeah.
There's something about the aesthetics that do have an effect. Something about the MPC. It just, when you sit in front of one, those old ones were so big, it just kind of consumed your field of view, and it's like and it was so tactile.
Yeah.
Because it was just it was something you operated with both hands. That wasn't a keyboard.
True.
And there's just something about that experience that has stuck with me. And the MPC Live, I like the geometry of it. So I've always felt like it feels like the screen it feels dyslexic to me. Like the screen should be on the other side and the pads should be over here for me. I don't know. But I work with it the way it is. So I get a lot done with it.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I have an MPC-1, which I have a lot of fun with, though I'm get brain blocks all of a sudden, and I'm just set it aside because I'm I don't know what I'm doing with this thing, and I just need to get more comfortable with it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't like the one. I had the one for a little while, and I had my MPC Live, the original Live, and then I got the MPC-1 because I thought, I liked the way it had the pads underneath, the smaller pads, but I just didn't like it. I don't know. It's just something about the smaller pads didn't feel right, and the button, I just couldn't get along with it, and I got rid of it and went back to the Live 2, and I've been when the Live 2 came out, and I've just been much more productive with the unit. I could actually see myself taking this to a cabin in the woods that hopefully has electrical power and plumbing, and just produce music with it.
So I do like the one. I agree, it's a little pokey, maybe. I like it for that reason because I traveled with it recently, and I have a hard case. It was still doable. It wasn't like a TSA nightmare. But Tony, I don't like the Lives or the Live 2 because I really don't like the sort of rectangular layout of them. If they could just make the MPC-1 look like an MPC-60, I would be in just pig heaven like that. You know what I mean?
Something. This is odd, but this actually does help. I got these. It's for a laptop. It's a stand, but I put my MPC on it, and something about having it just at that little bit of an angle makes it so much more usable.
That's nice.
These were like $50 on Amazon. I like to put my drum machines on them to tilt the displays up. But I highly recommend that.
Yeah, I use a stand.
Something about it changes it. Works better.
No, for sure.
When you have that more human, the brick, that brick concept that Electron kind of instituted, where everything has to look like you could use this to make a get enough of them together, you can make a nice fireplace.
But the tilt screen is missing. I mean, all my old ones have tilt screens, and that made a big difference, right? Like, I know the MPC-X has a tilt screen, kind of, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that one has the tilt screen, and there's a hacker group that if you're into it, the Akai Force, you can kind of bludgeon one into it, but
yeah, nice.
Yeah, and that one needs it. I had an Akai Force, but I got rid of it because it's imagine an MPC Live it's so big and so deep. It's like take an MPC Live and take a push 2 controller and glue them together at the top and bottom. That's literally the size of a Force. It's just too freaking big.
Yeah, I'm not really a clip launch person either, but to me, like, the only time I contemplated getting it was as something for backing tracks, like, for playback, because no matter what, the idea of carrying a laptop to a show makes me want to curl up and die.
It's definitely not for the timid.
That's why I like that's what I kind of want the SP404 is, to play the backing track so that the MPC can be doing the more dynamic stuff, and also I could load a track while that thing's still playing, and then just I could probably do a live set with just the 2 and some MIDI controllers hooked up to the MPC if I did live shows anymore, which I just haven't bothered.
Yeah. You can also do playback, backing track playback off the Octatrack as well.
Yeah.
And you can crossfade into it if you're feeling snappy.
Yeah, but then I have to, learn to use my Octatrack again, because something about that device, I know how to use it, and then I put it away for 6 months and I can't remember how to use it again, and I got to go through the manual for everything. Don't know why that is.
Because all that modular shit.
I love it,
you
but
have
I can't
your brain
use it
just like
frequently.
has to make room for figuring out which module makes the right fart sound.
The SP404 Mark II now has a DJ mode that you can crossfade between two things too.
Nice.
So between the Mark II and the Octatrack, which one could you bludgeon somebody with better? Because the Octatrack is pretty.
Octatrack is heavier.
Yeah, it's also
you got more math.
Grab Octatrack. Do you think could you really get a good grip on it? Because the SP404, I think the really potential.
This has a nice. Whack.
You can really hold.
But the 404 is made out of Roland plastic, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Plastic, but it's not. It's not plastic, but it's
if
plastic.
you load it with batteries, that'll add a lot.
All right. So it'll give you a bit more, like a better weight, like a better balance when you're doing the hit.
See, Andrew, you can replace your sock with full of batteries and just use that.
Or I could just replace fill my sock with SP404s.
That's
you
sock.
Aesop Rock said fat sock full of diamonds.
Fill a sock full of just don't fill it with cord bots because they'll just break.
Yeah, that sounds like a Rage Against the Machine song. I don't know if that is or not.
Sock full of Octatracks? No, wait.
Sock full of diamonds. So I've got Run the Jewels on my head. I don't know. I'm having problems over here.
Oh, they're very good. LP and Aesop Rock were buddies. Our buddies, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of problems, you know what doesn't have a problem anymore?
Modal.
Yes.
Modals
updated the Argon 8. A huge free update, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else. My friends, the Argon 8 now has a vintage parameter to give you that organic, sloppy feel to it. They give you 4 new filter types, 4-pole, 1-pole, resonant phaser ladder filter, and a new 2-pole Salin key filter. Did you catch all that? Gives you more effects, more presets, new options for your arpeggiator, gives more updated interfaces on the OLED, and gain staging in the audio, all kinds of stuff. The Argon 8 is a device I saw at NobCon a few years ago, and I just walked away from it really quickly because it was a prototype, and the paint job on it was so bad I couldn't read the text on it. So, but this time I went back and played with it because they did have it up at KnobCon this year, and it sounds really nice if you were looking for a nice little wavetable synthesizer. And I like the fact that it comes in all the different sizes, including like the family size, the fun size, like when you can give them out at Halloween, or the daddy size. So I think that's kind of cool of them. So yeah,
it's weird because when it came out, I was 2019. The Hydrasynth and this thing were sort of like competing with each other, and there was a lot of sort of angry sort of banter on the interwebs about it. I would say that I think this thing sounds more pristine and more clean.
Yeah.
And I think it's so interesting to me that they've added the sort of both the free one capabilities and also the classic synth stuff, the vintage sound. I listened to some of the demos and I was impressed because it really did. I mean, look, I'm not knocking it. If you want that crystal clear sound, it's perfect. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. But I thought it was kind of interesting that they would do that because I always wonder about a manufacturer. It's like if they have a sweet spot, do they have to cave in to everybody's, feature requests, or does it make sense for the product to do it? I wouldn't have thought so, but listening to it, I was like, oh, okay, all right, that sounds pretty good. Not too bad.
Yeah, it sounds nice.
Yeah, Oscillator free run seemed like a really good, important feature to add. And it probably really opens up its sound design capabilities.
Yeah, especially on a wavetable synth. That's kind of an interesting thing to do, is to put that kind of tech in there.
And I've never used the Salem key filter. Has anyone here?
No.
Yeah. But hey, more variety of filters is more better, right?
If it sounds terrible, you just don't use it, right? It's got a lot of other filters in there. Options. And, I think that's, the digital tech makes that a little bit easier to do. But yeah, I remember this versus the Hydrasynth, and I went with the Hydrasynth myself, just because the Hydrasynth, you can make it sound absolutely angry and pissy and stuff like that, and I kind of like that.
Well, I think the UI in the Hydrasynth
is a lot more fun, especially if you come from Ensoniq land.
Yeah.
It felt like an old Ensoniq.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've got a Hydrasynth.
Because the Hydrasynth is just an instant classic.
They were there as well, and it was good to see that they're there front and center. They didn't have anything new to show off or anything like that, but at the same time,
But Mr. Darcy was there.
Glenn Darcy was there, and you can...
But yeah, they could just put up a banner.
Still
right? Awesome.
Yeah. We still kick ass, and we still have that. We can still sell our synths. We don't...
Right. I never talk to Glenn because he scares me, and I'm afraid I'm going to make a Pride and Prejudice joke. But yeah. Yeah, but they were so cool in 2019. The guy Dominic, I don't know if he's still with the company, but I was like, hey, by the way, I pre-ordered this thing already. And he was like, oh, okay, here's some swag. He just gave me this bag of swag. They were nice.
Yeah, Glenn Darcy last year was like, do you have a T-shirt? And I'm like, no. I was like, let me get you a T-shirt. And now they were selling them. I'm like, sweet. I rated.
Yeah, I think I like Glenn because he's like, I feel like he's like a serious nerd. He's not trying to be a flim-flam salesperson. He's legit. This is his passion and his sweet spot. He knows so much about it, and he's made so many amazing, cool products. And yeah, he's just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hydrasynth has a feature that is like very, I don't know, it's very quiet, I guess. Nobody really talks about it that I wish more synths had, especially digital synths, which is it has a low pass gate as one of the filters.
Yeah.
And like, why do more synths not have low pass gates? It is the easily, in my opinion, my favorite thing from West Coast synthesis. Like, it is the thing that every East Coast synth should start adopting. They are fantastic, and we need more synths with low pass gates, and the Hydrasynth has one. So
I don't think I've ever used that.
I don't think I have either.
Check it out.
It's so good. Low pass gates are so good.
Yeah, it's a very unique filter to play with on the Hydrasynth. It gives you a very different tone than you get out of anything else. Which, to bring this back to the discussion about the modal synth, which I guess modal or ASM, I guess we're showing what we like here. I kind of found I initially was never impressed by modal, but I really liked the Argonate this time when I played it. but it's still. But when I got back to the studio, it doesn't seem to have anything on it that compels me to say I need to have this sound in my studio, because it's if I didn't have anything else, I might really like one. I like the fact that they have a rack version of it, because that's very rare these days. And I don't have space for any more damn keyboards. But
what I love was their old stuff that they've discontinued, the 002 and the 008. Those were fun. But again, I wouldn't want to. I don't think anyone would support it at this point.
And I think they had a lot of quality issues with those. I know every time I tried to play one at KnobCon, they had the one year that they were there, they had 4 of them, and all of them had a different problem.
Yeah, for sure.
They were all 4 broken in a different way, and I was like, well, I'm definitely not spending $5,000 on this.
Well, the 008 was so incredibly ambitious. And the guy that designed that is that George guy, right, Jeff? The guy that did the one you love so much. Super 6, Same design.
I thought the first modal was, maybe I'm thinking of a different one, was Paula.
No, it's
Paula-Matic.
But that guy designed the 008 for him. He came in to do the analog parts for it. Yeah. There's actually a YouTube video, I think on Sonic Stay, with the 2 of them. And Paul, I can't think of his name either. Yeah, long-haired guy. Yeah. He's Well,
he's a friend. Well, she's a friend of mine. She's Paula Maddox now.
Didn't know. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually hadn't seen her, I guess, in a long time. Pop up at all, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
But honestly, the NCOs were really interesting on the 002, and I thought that was kind of a cool thing to do. And it was the first synth I saw that from a boutique manufacturer that had was readily integrated with networking and stuff. It was kind of interesting. But you're right. I never saw them in real life. I'm sure they're broken all the time. And
it was. I tried to play it, because there's an old mailing list out on the internet that still runs as a listserv called the Music Bar, that I'm a member of, and Paula has been a member of that since the 90s, like I have. There's only 7 of us left, and half of us are dead now. But
I gotta tell Gen Z's what a listserv is, Tony.
Yeah, this was basically you send an email and it automatically forwarded it to all of these people. Yeah. I'm all right. Gather around, kids. Let me tell you about Linux.
I still have an active Usenet subscription.
Well, you got to.
What's email?
Where else are you going to get your media from, Jeff?
Right.
The internet?
It's all right. I literally still use a BBS, so I can't really talk.
I could get my microfiche from the library and scan through.
I have a whole bunch of microfilm upstairs. I think we'd all be
better off.
I love microfiche, man.
I think we'd all be better off if we just went back to BBS.
That sounds good. I like that idea.
Instead of this whole, social networking thing. I think that's just a failure. Because basically, if you think about it, not to get completely off our topic, but what social networking is basically putting everybody in the world on the same BBS.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that sucks, because it used to be you go into the BBS, you find a bunch of crazies, you cross that number off the list and never dial it again. Let the crazies be over there. Also, now you can't do that. They're all there all the time. All the crazy.
Where's the sysop now, right? It's just 1,000 famous faces, maybe. I don't.
The sysop is an AI algorithm that doesn't like tips. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about the internet and social media that has definitely happened is that you have a situation where it used to be every village had an idiot. and everybody knew that the village idiot was an idiot, and the idiot would say something stupid, and everybody would be like, shut up, that's dumb. Why are you talking about that? You're an idiot. Go back home. But now, the village idiot has found other village idiots, and now they've just made all and views of idiots, and they all say
Yeah.
stupid stuff together, and then they have collected themselves in these masses, and now they propagate outward, and it's no good. We need,
but in a way, you know, and that's we're all idiots of a different kind, and we tend to find our own.
Oh, I'm definitely
now on the internet. Hence this
Luckily,
challenge.
we have here at Tangents, we don't have any idiots at all.
It's unacceptable. It's against the rules.
Exactly. We are an idiot-free zone. See how that worked? Boom! Because I said it.
I'll volunteer to be the channel idiot.
Well, we appreciate you taking one for the team.
Let's be democratic about this. We'll take turns every month.
We'll vote the idiots in. So whoever wants to be the idiot for Tangents for the next month, please go ahead and put your name on the chat, and then we'll vote at the end of the episode. And then you get to be the Tangents idiot.
I just think about the Monty Python skit with the village idiot. Oh,
Robin has already said not it.
I also said not it.
I just realized we've tangented a lot. I just saw the time.
Yeah, no kidding. We still have news.
Well, as an idiot, maybe we should upgrade our firmware to 1.8.
Shut up.
I was gonna say. I mean, we've done some village idioting over the years with their subscription services, but they did just update some firmware.
And then I downgraded it.
Which
So
is, again,
there.
so unlike Roland of the past. But now that everything's running off this Zen Core engine, they're updating things. And you know, I've got a friend who's got one of these MC101s, and he installed the new firmware, and he loves it. He was making all kinds of new kits and playing with it all night.
Yeah.
People wanted to join his band. So, you know, kudos to Roland for not abandoning their products, which they've had a history of doing for like 30 years.
Well, they kind of have a hidden secret here with the 101 and the 707, because if you look at the Juno X or the Jupiter X under the hood, other than the interface, the majority of it is just the Zen Core engine, and including all the synths and stuff that come along with that. And you can get all that in the 707.
Right.
So you could use it as a friggin' sound module if you wanted to.
Yeah, it really just depends on what they're gonna put in as limitations.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do a lot of.
If they don't limit it, then yeah, you've got a real device there.
Yeah,
you know, only limited by its processing power.
Yeah, I'd probably use a software editor if I was going to make a sound in it, you know. But yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the 101 is a tremendous value with this new update. I when it came out, I considered getting one. I already had a TR-8S at the time, so I didn't, and I prefer to play a drum machine than play the little loop box. But the 101 is more people are going to be creating songs and then bringing it home to load that into their 7.7 or into their DAW. Then you're going to ever know about it, because it's so small and convenient, runs on batteries, and now with the Zen Core, you can design really your own sounds for it, and at a high level of detail, and even right on the box. You don't have to use the computer if you're stuck in a hotel room. So it's really kind of cool.
So my friend that's got one, he's in some major bands, and but yeah, he doesn't have a car, and so he brings this thing on with him on the bus, and he brings it with him to work, because it fits in his backpack no problem, amongst a bunch of other pedals and little things that he carries around. So it's small, but it does a lot, and yeah, he loves this expansion. It's great that Roland has gotten off the we already got their money, don't give them anything else philosophy.
Well, they're trying to sell people on this Roland Cloud thing.
Yep.
So and also supply chain problems are supply chain problems. So we're seeing a lot more companies turn to software updates to keep themselves in the news cycle. So they can't. They need to have their developer resources doing something. So have them work on these old things.
Well, in the past, they would have just fired their developers.
And just closed down Zen Core and said, "We'll start something new."
Even if they were forced to do the right thing, it's good to see Roland do the right thing, and hopefully they'll realize that it builds brand loyalty and it's worthwhile to do.
Now, if only they could discover that materials higher quality than plastic exist.
Yeah,
don't hold your breath.
That's the part that made me the saddest about the System 8, because I think it sounded really great. It
looks like human garbage.
Yeah, the whole green thing, and it was just bad. but it sounded really good. And I think the ACB.
Pretty confident that the design was based on someone losing a bet.
Was it all Scottish food is based on the dare, right?
Right. So yeah, the Roland.
Yeah, anyway, so if you've got an MC101, a 707, or VersaLab, go get the new firmware, install it, and have
It
a lot
will
of
change
fun.
your life. It'll make your breath fresh, and it will make you more attractive to whoever you are attracted to.
Yeah, especially people that are looking for information about the new
Indeed.
Korg.
As many people have known because they couldn't stop talking about it on YouTube the other day, Korg has released the Drumlog drum machine. This is a... they decided they wanted to make they talked about this a while ago at Super Booth that they were going to work on this thing, and folks got excited because they were expecting something that was going to be kind of like a mini log or that kind of thing, and then they put this out.
I don't know what this thing is. It's very confusing.
Well, all right. So, my perspective, it makes sense to combine the two. I mean, for me, I just want, digital samples for drums, and other people like analog drums. But, adding something digital to an analog drum will give
Sure.
it more attack. And so it makes sense to have both in one thing if you're looking for that sound, but you want to punch a little better. So, I don't know. It's not for me, but I could see what they were thinking.
Yeah, I was into this 2 years ago when they first hinted at it. They even released like a YouTube video of it, and it's weird because they kind of were taking it with the product line of the Prologue, where it's like, hey, design your own, oscillators. You can write to the API or whatever. I think it's like a C++ interface. So I felt like that was kind of what they were doing there. And I thought it would be really, really cool. I've been listening to it. I haven't heard anybody do anything stellar with it, but then again, I think I'm spoiled because I have too many friggin' drum machines.
It's
But
Source Decay said Electri blog in the chat, and that's exactly what it reminded me of. Like, that's why I say, like, I don't understand this thing. It feels like it sits somewhere between, like, if the Minilog XD were a drum machine, a Volca, and the like, it feels like weirdly outplayed in some way.
Truth.
I don't know. It was just weird. It's just weird. And then the buttons on the bottom, they're wrong.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
I don't like the buttons on the bottom. I don't like...
You got those little dumb twiddly fiddly knobs like that are on the Moog Mavis and Workstatt.
Yeah, I guess it would make sense if it was an Electride, and they called it like the ED1, but then they're like, oh wait, erectile dysfunction, we can't call it that.
Or maybe,
let's call it drum
or
load.
maybe, but that's what it feels like. It feels like it's in like Electribe land, not in. I don't know.
Well,
okay.
It's got Prologue. It's got the Prologue. It's got the log livery.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Okay, so let's really quick discuss what my mind is the elephant in the room, and that is those tiny little shit knobs that they have going along the top and on the tempo.
Yeah.
Those things look like those things are terrible. Those knobs, those little knoblets are terrible. They're terrible on the
Awful.
Volcas. They're terrible on everything that they've made that has those little tiny knoblets. I mean, they're fucking terrible on the DFAM.
What? They're volume knobs on this
Yeah,
thing?
they're the volume knobs. Why would you make your volume knob so fucking small?
It's very, very small.
And this thing ain't cheap, man. It's like 700, 650, something like that.
Yeah.
It's
No, it's 6.
It's 600?
Is it 6? Okay.
Yeah.
Still.
All right.
it's
But
still as much as a Minilog XD, which is at least an extra medium sound.
Yes. And I'm sorry, in the year of our Lord 2022, why don't you put a fucking MIDI through on these things?
I know that, and then
Spite.
yes, but then the buttons at the bottom, I like. For sure, my favorite thing about an Electron device is that when you push the button, it goes crack.
Yep.
Crack, 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 crack. And yeah. They put these buttons masquerading as actual buttons on the bottom of this device, but they look like they have a throw of like 0.02 millimeters. They hover at the surface. They just skim the top of the thing, and they are just a tease. I hate them.
Yeah.
Knoblet and tease buttons.
Knoblets and tease buttons.
They're actually not real buttons. It's an illusion made with paint.
It looks like it might as well be.
I'm trying to look at this one picture where you can see it from the side. I'm trying to see the depth of it. Because you're right. I feel like it's going to go click.
Yeah, it's going to be like
picking a mouse. Disgusting. No, thank you. It needs to go quack.
So right. What I'm taking away here is I'm the only one that pre-ordered.
We're having you back on so you can talk about this thing.
Funny, Tony. I pre-ordered one from 2 years ago.
I'm a big fan of Korg when they get weird, because the same thing happens every time. The thing's announced, everyone says this is going to be awful. Think about the Volcas. When they were announced, everyone was like, and now they become a staple.
Right, they are awful.
They do have a very large fan base, and the people that do love them love them.
You're wrong.
I loved
those are teenagers.
I loved the Electrons, not the latest
the latest Electrons are wretched.
But the EMX one, the ESX one, and this reminds me a lot of that, but a little bit different. And I wrote a lot of songs just on the EMX one. You could push that thing way farther than anyone had any right to be able to. And if you had the ESX with the sampling, the two together, you could do a lot of things.
Well, I mean,
turn
again,
that stupid distortion thing off.
Tony, we talked about this, the SP, and entire genres of freaking bass music were written on these things.
So I will say I will give props to Korg for the following things on the drum log: individual outputs and USB hosting. That's good.
The SDK. The SDK
has
me really interested, because I know some people that programmed some really, really cool stuff for the for like the Minilog, for the mini logs, and for the other logs. And I think this makes sense to where Korg placed it, because it's okay. We got a bunch of people to buy Electro or Volcas and the Volca drum, and now we want to try to upsell them into the next level of thing. And this is kind of the gateway drug to that. Hopefully those kids that were in high school buying Volcas now have their first jobs after college, whatever, or working at Walmart, and they can afford the drum machine now. Kind of what I think Korg's thinking is that it's time to upsell them into the next thing. And Korg gets weird sometimes, and I see that in this, and I like it when they get weird, because it's got that analog part, it's got that sampler part. It kind of seems like they were well, what do we got? It's kind of a Frankenstein's monster. It's like what do we got sitting around that we can put together and stuff out a product right now with all the chip shortages and everything? Well, we got this thing. So that's what they did. And it's either going to be awful or wonderful. And I'm taking a bet on that I like it. And if not, you can all laugh at me.
I'm not going to laugh at you, but I'm definitely looking forward to your opinion when you get it.
So I'm a drum machine hoarder and collector, so I'll probably not cancel the order. So we can pull together. Tony.
Yeah. At the same time, I was selling off all of my extra drum machines, trying to pare down just to the MPC and a couple things. This thing came out, and I'm like, oh, Korg. And I have to pre-order. My sales guy from Sweetwater called me up and said, "Did you see the drum log?" And I said, "Yeah, put me on the list."
We need to go to like a Moby drum machine support 12-step.
I know, right?
Yeah, I'm around. There's a lot over here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Jesus.
Yeah. So Korg getting weird. Yeah. I'm going to take us out of order, and we'll go back to the last one. Korg did another very weird thing. It is very funny.
Oh, yes. And so speaking of weird, so Korg
announced, of all things, 4 new tuners. They went like super hardcore at barely differentiated tuners, and they made a very big deal about it on their website. They all look like very good tuners. I don't know, like probably they're fine. it's just very funny to me that they went so damn hard after tuners, and they're like, guys, we have a drum log and tuners on the same day. And they just went really hard.
We have the teeny tiny tune, teeny tiny.
What this tells me? What this tells me is you have a bunch of engineers and they're required to come up with so many products, but they can't get anything out the door right now because of chip shortages. And they're like, well, we have enough parts to make a lot of fucking tuners.
Brought to you by the
So we're going to make a lot of tuners and convince everyone they
the
need.
Korg Abacus, I think, is the next thing. Yeah.
Dude, 3 of them are like almost exactly the same. Like one's this big, one's this big, and one's this big. And then there's a rack tuner. I don't know. They all look like good tuners. I have a tuner. I'm happy with the tuner that I have. I don't really want one of these tuners, but it is cool. So a change that they have done here, which really only matters for guitarists and guitarists of all ilks, bassists, whatever. They've added strobe tuning, which is really nice. So the tuner that I've had and used for a long time is a strobe tuner, which basically means you just smack all 6 strings at once, and it actually tells you which ones are in tune and out of tune all at once. It's a really cool feature. It makes tuning very fast.
That's cool.
So that's neat. Korg hasn't done a lot of stuff before. These strobe tune, but it's just very funny that there's 3 of them that are almost exactly the same.
The one has an integrated button. The other ones have a separate button.
Yeah.
And then one of them doesn't have
like
the
here's what
thingy
happened.
thing, and the other one has the thingy thing. I don't know.
Well, just wait, because I hear rumor there's going to be a Korg Volca tuner.
Oh, shit.
Coming
I hope it's the
So
pitch
don't let
black
that
Volca tuner.
Yeah, I hope it's the bass tuner where it's not a tuner at all, because unlike Jeff, who plays guitar, I don't need to tune my basses up.
I have to tune my bass all the time, but I think I need something done to the neck of this bass. I bought this bass like a little over, I don't know, something like about a year ago, and the neck on it is like not good. And it is always like trying to bow or cup or do something.
Oof.
Right. Yeah, once you wear in the strings, once you get them where they need to be, depending on the gauge, it's usually the G string that's going out of tune. So it seems like it's a gauge thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I'll tell you what doesn't go out of tune, and that is the Hypersynth H card.
H cards.
Yeah, cards. And as a matter of fact, they've been...
Don't go out of tune, and then you don't go out of fashion.
They don't. The version 2 came out. That's how popular these things are. So if you have a Roland D50 lying around, or any of the Yamaha DX series from back in the day, and you need storage, you need to check out the Hypersynth cards version 2.
It's funny because this used to be stuff that people did in their workshops.
Yes.
Like I have aftermarket, like my sequential tom drum machine. I've got one of these that's got a bunch of ROMs on it, so you don't have to actually mess with the chips. Same with the SQ80 that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems interesting to me, that this is the people are like, yeah, absolutely.
Well,
let's keep supporting this whole gear. It's
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, there's enough people. I mean, just think about like what's his face in his Roland D50 collection. Who's that guy? Can't remember his name now. Damn. Anyway.
The only person I know that used the Roland D50 was the guy from Gridlock.
Yeah, think about Gridlock and like how many, now he can store 4,096 beautiful string sounds with lots of crunchy noises being thrown on top of them.
Actually, he passed.
Okay, well, he won't be doing that anymore. Think about Lego Velt. There we go. Lego Velt.
Well, I think it's a cool idea to do this, to retrofit old gear.
Then being able to give them that much more
but
places for storage and stuff like that is fantastic.
there's still a lot of bands using the DX7. Like And One is very DX7 heavy. Front 242 is DX7 heavy. And with the old cards, you really couldn't store that many patches. But with these H cards, like what is it, 4,000 patches to a card?
Depending on which one you're. Some of them have like.
Yeah, it's like no more switching cards out.
Thanks for the follow, Jaden.
It's kind of like people upgrading their old gear and getting rid of the SCSI devices and putting in SD cards, which are just infinitely more flexible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and quieter.
Yep.
So
And
check that shit out because that's amazing. And you know what else is amazing?
No,
Home studio slippers.
No, that's not amazing. This whole story makes me angry.
Good.
Yeah, I have something to say too. You go first.
All right, so IKEA has releasing home studio furniture, because people haven't been using IKEA furniture for home studio use anyway. So they decided that they're going to team up with Swedish House Mafia and put out home studio furniture.
Yeah, and yet I feel like what they've really done is they've teamed up with Teenage Engineering. Yes. Because this stuff is terrible. It's for hipsters. It's not for musicians. And I can tell you exactly why. When you look at this furniture, it's for storing your vinyl. And they're just trying to make up for the fact that they got rid of their key furniture that all the vinyl people use to store all their vinyl. And everybody was outraged, like, but that's the perfect size for vinyl. And like, oh, well, here you go. You can store your vinyl in it, and you can pretend you're a musician because we put 2 little bits of shelving in it.
Yeah,
but you know what musicians need? 19-inch racks.
Yeah,
yes.
The one that looks like my grandma's.
So Tony knows what I'm talking about, and these things are not 19 inches. They're probably like 12.
So
great for vinyl, or 14, but you can't put any
Christoph,
rack gear in there. Even this DJ mixer is 19 inches, right?
Christoph.
Let me see.
Wow, he even brought out his tape measure for the occasion. Yeah, so I got so one thing, the IKEA end tables that are like $7 are actually exactly 19. The space in there is actually 19 inches, and you can literally turn them into rack shelves.
Racks, yeah.
Yeah.
Same with milk crates, but are those listed here?
No, they're not.
That's what I'm saying. The stuff that they're putting in here for musicians, no. This is like the musician that puts like a deluge on a table next to a plant. This is the furniture.
Oh man, we're gonna hear about that in the Golden Shrimp Guild chat line. I know it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the deluge, but I mean, there's too many plants in synthesizer videos. Some of us
right? There's good stuff in here. I will say, like, not all of it is good, but I would actually say that some of this stuff looks pretty good. So, if you don't have a desk, the desk doesn't look bad. It does have the monitor stands on it. That's actually pretty useful. Like, it's not the best looking desk, but I mean, like, I'm using an IKEA desk right now, and I'm pretty happy with the thing. It's one of the ones that goes up and down, and I like it relatively well. The lamp that they have in here, this sort of like ring-shaped lamp, I dig.
I like that.
I'm in love.
IKEA makes good lamps.
But is it a music lamp?
That air looks pretty good.
It's a lamp. It's a lamp.
The Abesgrande, Grandside, Obergrandside arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
like the lamps.
Clock.
I just don't think this is really catered to musicians.
Well, and you know, it's funny because like if they even say like in this PDF file with the desk, the desk even says right in big letters, just starting out. You know, and I think that's really the thing to consider is that this stuff is that like this is for like folks that are just getting into this kind of thing, and you know.
The desk is only $200.
Exactly.
I mean, that if you try to buy this shit anywhere else,
the speaker stands are $13. I mean, shit, dude.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal for some of that. And then they show like you get down to where they have the Find Your Natural Flow, and they've got like Genelex on it. Like I think.
No. I don't think that's the case. You know, and are they going for the people that are vinyl? Yeah, sure, they're going for the hipsters and stuff like that because you know. At the same token, like I was looking at those shelving units, and I can find use for those besides records. I can fit Legos into each of those little cubbies very nicely. I can get the little drawer units that they sell that fit in those quite nicely and put all my cables in there.
Yep. Yeah, I can also tell you, Andrew, that Jax would be happy to know that cat beds also fit in them.
Oh, see that?
Cat beds fit in them, and the cat little coat.
I'm just saying.
So we have had cat beds in them in the past as well.
I'm just saying, you know, if you would ask I think a real musician, I don't know who Swedish House Mafia is, but this unit that has the 4 shelving units for vinyl, make it 3 so that they could be 19 inches across, and you can put your rack stuff in there. That would be practical.
Can you put your weight in it though, Christoph?
So like, but okay, but I will say that Like the clock looks cool and weird. I don't know how that works, but I'm curious about that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of funky stuff in it. The chair looks kind of funky and stuff like that. I just think what I think is funny is that they're saying this is for the home studio, and then they have like slippers and and the throw rug. Which if you're decorating your studio, it's good to have a rug in there, or some pillows to sound absorption, glue them to the walls. And like the lights, the lamps look cool and stuff like that. And I can see that this is definitely being.
It's nice. I just think.
Yeah, I think that they're they're advertising to a very specific set of folks for some of these things, but and this particular set of folks are folks that are new to this world. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I think the one that looks like an end table with the shelves, to me, I don't know, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Jeff. I would probably get an adjustable table from IKEA before we do that.
I really like the adjustable. I actually have a bunch of their adjustable desks. So I have the powered one upstairs for my office, and then down here I have the hand crank one because I don't really ever take it up and down. But what I like about it is that I have it sitting higher than a typical desk because I have a keyboard tray that's mounted under it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my mixing console sitting on top of it. It works out pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, the desk is cool. It wouldn't work for me because if you can't see what I've got going on behind me, but I've got another tier, right? Yeah. So I've got I need that extra tier. But obviously, if you to your point, if you're just getting started and you don't have a serious gear addiction problem like I do, you could probably put it to some good use.
Yeah, I have the last studio desk I'll ever need.
Oh, yours is the bomb though, dude.
Yeah, I bought this off of Rob, Tony, who someone made for, and this thing is like 9 feet long and is made out of wood that will break your foot if you kick it. And it's just like and it's got 16-inch racks in it too.
Does it come apart, Andrew?
Yeah,
is it
of a fashion, yes.
It's fucking huge.
Yeah.
Fashion.
In a fashion, it does. Yeah.
Looking at this IKEA furniture, it looks like it was designed so that a musician can have this set up in their cheap studio apartment, and their girlfriend won't complain about it.
Yeah.
It's simple. It looks like furniture, and it looks like you could put music stuff on it. But I don't see why this isn't like any other desk or table. I mean,
because it has the two little speaker stands on it.
Yeah. I feel like they could go all in because I think we all love IKEA. I think it's kind of cool that sort of novelty that they make stuff that people sort of coyly reuse for things. But they could go all in and really make professional grade stuff.
I'm getting all of us slippers except for Christoph.
I like the chair. I'm down with that chair.
For Christoph.
I can recommend the best studio slippers. Hold on, Lincoln coming.
The cats?
I mean, the fact is, the only thing holding me back in music right now is my lack of that chair. Like, I would totally finish it up if I had that chair. So I have to get that chair for music. Yeah.
It was actually the lack of slippers that was holding you back.
Oh, man. No wonder.
See?
That explains everything.
They are nice slippers.
Well, I gotta say, these are not the best looking slippers, nor are they the cheapest slippers, but they are the most comfortable slippers I've ever owned, and so there's my recommendation for everybody.
Were these help? Did Swedish House Mafia help design these slippers?
No.
Oh.
They designed the Swedish House Mafia.
Oh wow. Well, these look cozy.
Swedish House Mafia designed your slippers?
No, they made the House Mafia.
The slippers
came first.
I'm very confused by life, but that's cool.
They're the best studio slippers.
Wow, $100 for a pair of slippers. All right.
Look, the thing is, they're the only shoes I wear anymore because I don't ever leave my house, and they're worth it. Is the thing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, these are those slippers that are made out of orphans. That's what they call them.
Oh, those are the best.
Yeah, or cheap hair.
You can still hear their screams with every step.
Oh, good.
Feel the power.
Weird. You could
some kind of Swedish Dickensian nightmare there. I like it. It's good.
Yeah, you could probably like run it through a pocket in your not pocket USB.
Is it a hot
host.
pocket, not pocket? Because I don't know. This is a very confusing name for this thing.
Hot
the
pocket,
not,
not
the,
hot pocket.
It's the not.
Not pocket.
The Intech not is what we're talking about. It is a pocket-sized USB MIDI host, which I always thought not is another term for butthole, but hey, what am I going to say? That's balloon knot. Never mind. Okay. So this is
Not pocket.
not pocket. So this thing is a USB MIDI host. It has the mini jacks for USB on there, and a USB-C connector on it, so you can plug it into your computer. You can host out some gear through there, and you got a little MIDI in out on there as well. And it's $89 as of right now. We'll go to $119. So yeah, I just thought it was cute.
Yeah,
Yep, it looks like it'll do what you want it to do. Your buddy who plays his MC 101 on the bus could easily set up his MIDI studio in the chair next to him, and that way no one sits next to him while he makes some fat beats with this thing.
So a problem that I run into is that if I want to use my my Bogue or my Behringer Pro 1, the easy thing that I have is a launch key, but I can't plug the launch key directly into them. It needs an intermediary, so I just have to like start up a computer and then attach the computer in between. And it'd be great to have something that would work in between. So, but I don't think this will fit the bill for that. But maybe it will.
Yeah, looks kind of handy if you need that kind of tech.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 10 minutes to wrap this show up. Actually, we started late, so we can go a little bit late if necessary. Womp womp womp. Because I ran a software update and I shouldn't have run.
All right. Well, we've got a
thing to hit. We
got a thing to hit. We're going to beat on this thing.
But Roland won't hit it in their commercial.
So the Roland SPX-SX Pro flagship sampling pad, which the little top screen shows in all of its glory, except it doesn't show anybody actually touching it.
Like it's in the
And
kit.
the
Look
dude's
how wild he plays
wailing on these
around
drums,
the
and that thing is sitting there pristine and dust-free and doesn't have a single tap mark on it because no one bothered to fucking touch it.
I did.
Oh my god! Just play next to it, but do not play on it because
After you said that, Andrew, I saw that, which was very funny because the dude is absolutely going ham on these drums.
Yes, he really is.
And then in the second segment of the video, there's this guy who's like, at the SPD, he just like gives it like the spite stare.
Yeah, he's totally just like, Maybe the sensitivity is turned up where he doesn't have to like actually hit the machine.
Yeah,
he'll just start.
So Roland had one of these things in the early '90s, late '80s. I think it was called the SPD-8. And I know like some of the new beat bands use these, and some of the old EBM bands or post-industrial bands. It's kind of an all-in-one because back then there was two ways to play electronic drums. You either had to get an all-in-one unit like this, or you had to get a MIDI brain that would and pads, and then something that would hook up from the MIDI brain to a sound generating source. The problem, and I think everybody here is aware of it, is that these things, if you hit them too hard, they break. Because they're basically they're a piezo transducer with a piece of small wood and then rubber on top. And if you hit it too hard, the wood cracks.
Or the piezo becomes unglued from the back of the wood.
Yep. Or playing the original Octopad.
Yep.
Which was like playing a slab of cement.
Yeah. So these things will give you.
You were more likely to break the stick though.
Yeah, I mean,
they were terrible.
These drums come along.
Terrible feel, but those were actually built pretty well.
The
SPD, when they came out with the SPD, that's when Roland found plastic and decided everything needs to be made out of plastic now.
Yeah. And in the mid '90s, it got a lot better where you could get an all-in-one drum brain and sound source like the Alesis D4, the DM5, and the TD7 units. Still, there is a mark for these, and there are people that love them, and apparently just not the guy in this video who refuses to touch it.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, if you watch the second video, are you talking about the live video or the guy doing the demo?
You're talking about like the very top of the screen, the little splash video.
Like the first thing you see is a guy who refuses, but I think maybe it's just from marketing. Like don't obscure the product.
Yeah.
So he never gets in front of it. He never touches it. We never see it actually in use, just in his kit.
Yeah. Well, what's weird?
But we've all seen that band that brings everything they own, but only uses like 1/10 of it.
But the
so he's just on stage showing off that he owns one, but he doesn't use it.
They're not hitting the pads because even the demo guy is largely just using it as a sound module.
Yeah.
All right.
As a drum unit.
And also, you could attach triggers to it.
And that's what he's actually doing. He rarely ever hits the pads because I was like, why is he not hitting? I looked because it's hard to tell because these snares have sensors on them now, and so you can't see that they're triggering stuff. They look so good that you can't tell. But yeah, I mean, look, it seems weird to me because if you look at the Nord stuff or the other ones that are just drum sound units, why have all those pads like if you're not going to touch them?
Exactly. If you're not using the pads, then just bring a brain.
So I also just want to point out that this is the SPD SX Pro sampling pad.
Yeah.
Doesn't sample.
Yeah.
You can load samples, but that's not sampling.
Well, it's not a sampler.
Yeah, that's why we can't have nice things.
The SPD-SX, which is the one that's out right now, feels pretty good.
Yeah.
I had a Yamaha DTX-12 for a while, which definitely felt like hitting a cement floor with a baseball bat when you played it. Like I for sure got carpal tunnel from that device.
Yeah, I have a DTX Multi-12.
Yeah, that one is like harsh to play, but the SPD is not too bad, and I don't know, like hopefully this one's good, but I thought the SPD SX was pretty good.
Yeah, they've definitely come a long way as far as the drum tech is concerned.
I like those. Like I don't know because I'm not a drummer and I don't give a ass what a drum feels like. I like the mesh kits.
Yeah,
like the mesh head kit that they use.
Oh,
they're fantastic. I had a set for a while.
Yeah, everybody loves
I've heard a lot of drummers complain about them. Like, it doesn't feel like a drum. I'm like, who cares? It feels good. Like,
yeah, I thought it was great. I mean,
yeah, it feels better than the
piece of wood, piece of rubber. I remember when I was in Film in '38, we had the Octapads, and fucking drummer would go through 8 drumsticks per show. And I eventually got him aluminum drumsticks, and so he'd start bending those instead. And like I had to get him like fucking like baseball gloves and stuff because he would just rip his hands to shreds from playing these things. And then we did break the piezo sensor in them a few times. So we had to go to Radio Shack and get a doorbell sensor and super glue it on there again.
In hindsight, it's just totally dumb because you can program the velocity sensitivity of these things. You don't need to.
Oh yeah, but he wanted it. He just
excited.
It looked great. He was beating the shit out of him, bleeding everywhere.
Try to tell that to a drummer.
I'm a drummer, I know, because I have PD11s and 21s, and I've got a TD7 kit, and they're all this wood and rubber combo. And I mean, I had to repair one of my PD11s because the other guy in my band just smashed the crap out of it and broke it. And I broke a lot of sticks, and for no reason really, except for like on the PD21s, that has 4 transducers. So one in the center, which is wood over rubber, and then each side of the triangle, which is just plastic. And so, of course, when you're side sticking on that, you're just asking your sticks to break. But anyway, there's a real market for this. There are people who this is how they play. I remember a guy in New York booked one of those like bands from the 90s to play in New York, and they can't bring their equipment over. And so he had to go find something like this to rent out for the show. And so there's definitely a market for this. There's people who want that, like those 8 pads in a square format. And so now they've got something available.
They're super. So like if you're playing, because I've played shows with that Yamaha thing as the drummer in shows, and like I don't know, it's not the best drum kit, but damn is it easy to move up and down a set of stairs. And like you carry an amp, carry a keyboard amp, and like that sort of sucks, but it's no worse than carrying a bass drum, and that's one drum.
Yeah.
And, like you move the keyboard amp upstairs, then you carry this thing. I mean, you could hang it from your nose, basically. They're so small.
Yeah, I mean, this will fit in a messenger bag. It doesn't take up the entire bag of the van.
So I get the appeal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do too. I think it's a fantastic.
But I mean, I've got my TD7 kit fits in the small duffel.
Yeah. There's always like certain questionable design things, and I remember that Alesis did the same thing with their drum pad system. Is why can't they put a fucking cover over the fucking front there when you're not tweaking shit? Because that's just waiting to get that screen's just waiting to get its ass kicked by a drumstick.
Whack! Just living on
Yeah, because then you have to buy another one.
Like the knobs, like all that shit just looks like it's just ready to just get wailed on accidentally by Sweaty McSweat dude up there on the top.
Sweaty McSweat.
Yeah. And I guess one other thing that the advantage this would have over other electronic kits is it takes a minute to set up.
Yeah,
like my TD7 kit, it takes a while to tear it apart and put it back together.
Yeah,
this would go up quick. A lot of times when you're playing, they give you your entire band has 15 minutes to do your entire setup and cabling. So that's an appeal too.
Yeah, in Missile Command, I had a friend of mine who would build electronic drum pads, and so he built us a two-sided electronic taiko drum, which we used like once just when we were covering Insanity by Oingo Boingo because it looked cool to play, on both sides of the drum kit thing.
I was at that show, dude. That was the Power Bindi show, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, that was the one. But yeah, it was a fun little thing. But yeah, they're not very difficult to make anymore, and you can do a lot of cool shit with them. So yeah.
Could you play Omnisphere with them?
You could, in fact, play Omnisphere with them because you can just play whatever with your fucking MIDI. However, Spectrasonics has introduced Flow Capture. And oh my God, has Eric Persing never looked more excited than he does today?
Flow Capture is a really unfortunate choice.
And the coloring works well for that too, doesn't it?
Oh, thanks, Christoph.
So
it would sound dirty if I said
it. So this is so what this thing does. So this is for the standalone versions of Omnisphere, Keyscape, and Trillion, which is the stuff that all the three products that they make over at Spectrasonics. And what this thing is it records audio, MIDI, and sound settings constantly, basically. So you see this in Ableton, you see this in Studio One, all that stuff.
It seems like a lot of fanfare for a pretty basic ass feature.
Yes.
Just saying.
Like, hey, the thing that we should have implemented 10 years ago.
Well, a lot of standalone synths don't do this kind of thing, though.
Sure, I understand. Yeah. But how many people are playing Omnisphere in standalone? I mean, maybe there are people. I don't know.
The only thing I can think of is like I'm just gonna open up. I mean, if I can open up Omnisphere real quick and just jam out for a little while, but I generally don't do that. I mean, I use the stuff in the DAW. So.
Yeah, and I've always got that sort of pre-record mode turned on in Studio One. So
yeah, exactly.
Just in case some magic happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm currently just now going in here and updating it right now, even as we speak, but I'm just.
Look, I'm not saying it has no utility. I just think it was kind of weird. I was expecting it to be a little sexier, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. But anyway, so yeah, this is a new thing that they're doing, and okay, that's cool. If you are doing standalone stuff and you're just like, you want to just like compose just for fun and you don't want to open up your DAW, okay. Have at it, yo.
Have at it, Haas.
Yep. But yeah, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That is all the news that we give a shit about to talk about.
Wow,
this week,
considering
the fact that like we ranted and raved throughout most of this stuff about all kinds of shit that we had nothing to do with the news. So, another successful episode of Tangents. We have gone off on so many tangents.
By the way, is my voice still a delay and echo? Do I keep having to covering my mouth?
Why would you need to do that?
They said that my voice was delayed, so that therefore my mouth won't be in sync with my voice.
I would do a lot more of this actually, and just try to like really lean into the badly dubbed movie look.
Like an early '60s Swords and Sandals movie.
Yeah, that's the thing though. If I do that, everyone's gonna expect that I know kung fu.
No, because I would imagine. I always think of.
And I don't. I only know Taekwondo.
I always think of the Big Bam Boom scene in Forbidden Zone with the guy who does a piece of paper in front of his mouth and just starts singing something else. No.
Yeah. I've watched so many giallo horror movies that I'm just kind of used to bad dubbing. It's a lifestyle for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
I've watched a lot of kung fu movies, and I think that's probably like actually a bad way to refer to them because they are definitely not all about kung fu, but martial arts movies. Yeah, that's probably better. I've watched a lot of them, and they are very badly dubbed a lot of the time, and that's part of the appeal at this point to me is like just like it's, I don't know, like it doesn't feel right now when they're subtitled or something. Like I kind of love that part of it.
Do you ever watch the old ones like the Shaw Brothers, like the I guess they're like early '60s stuff? For a minute there was that station, what was it, El Rey, I think it was, that and they were playing a bunch of these old Shaw ones, and you should go check them out. They're great. The costuming is fantastic. Yeah.
The best is when they have like 5 lines of dialogue and all they put in there is no.
Like a minute and a half,
No.
and they're like,
You didn't translate some of that. He said a lot more.
Yeah. I guess
we're there.
Yeah.
Same with subtitles. Someone goes on for 2 minutes and the translation is 2 words. Like, that's not what he said. So you're lying to us.
It's great.
They do that all the time on just like closed captioning too.
You're just waiting for the fight scene anyway. Come on, you don't care.
It's like porn. Although porn with subtitles turned on is always, closed caption turned on is always entertaining.
Actually, now they have the subtitles with description of action.
So does that make it technically erotica? With I don't know.
I'm gonna go with that. Sure, it's it sounds much classier than you know.
Yeah. Anytime.
So much of the captioning is just
exactly.
I was trying to class up the joint, Tony, and look at what you're doing.
Bodily squelch.
Thanks for keeping it down the sewer. I appreciate you.
You don't class up a joint by inviting me. That's just not.
I was gonna say, Justin, do you know who you're talking
Good
with here?
times, man. Good times.
No one's ever accused me of being classy. So yeah, this is Tangents episode 39, which means our next episode, Tangents, is going to be episode 40. We've almost done 40 of these dumb shows.
Staying power.
How the fuck have we been doing this for enough times where we do 40 of this? Oh my god. How have we not gotten bored with this? How have you, our viewers, all 8 of you, have not gotten bored shitless of us sitting here bi-weekly?
Well, how many of our viewers haven't been on the show?
Yeah, that's true. So Tony, how does it feel to be on the other side?
Good. A little dirty, actually.
Yeah, that's good. You gonna take a shower afterwards?
That's right.
You want to bring the Skype in with you when you get in the shower?
0000.
So good.
Hey, it is Jaden's first show, and we appreciate you joining us tonight, Jaden. I appreciate all the new follows we got this evening. Hope everybody has a good few weeks. So it's kind of weird because I was going to raid into the Killer Bee Relay team, even though he's on the show right now. But I guess I can, I guess we're raiding to the Killer Bee Relay team. Another fine Golden Shrimp Guild streamer. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a good evening and stay with your bad selves. Yeah.
Stay.
And take care of yourselves.
I knew.